Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Caroline's Corner. I'm Caroline, I'm from Leeds in West Yorkshire, and this is my Flosstube channel about my mostly crafting life, although there will be a bit of book chat at the end today because as it's not that long since I last recorded, it possibly won't be quite such a mammoth episode as the last one was. So, as I said, this is a channel about my crafting life. So there'll be some cross stitch, there's some knitting, not really any sewing this or quilting this time round, just because I've been busy doing other things. I'm in Leeds in West Yorkshire. It's a beautiful sunny day now. We had thunderstorms from 3 o'clock in the morning through to about 9ish today. So I'm hoping it's not going to be quite so red hot as they are promising, but we shall see. So I wanted to get on and record before it started to get really, really hot again up here in the attic. You can find me on the internet. I do have a blog that I desperately need to update. It's carolinescorner.blogspot.com, and you can mostly find me on Instagram. I am at Caroline A. Kemp on Instagram. I haven't fully finished anything since I last recorded. I am working on some finishing, but nothing that I can show at the moment. I'm trying to finish quite a complicated piece of finishing, which hopefully I'll have done for the next time I record, but don't hold your breath. So instead, what I thought I would do is show you one of my past finishes. This is one of the samplers that sits on the wall behind me. Try and get it without the glare from my ring lamp. And this is the first sampler I ever stitched. It is Catnip Tea by Jeanette. And I think I stitched it probably 1996, 97. I bought the kit at the Harrogate Knitting and Stitching Show, I think. And this was also my first project on linen. And it was one of those where I was stitching away on the linen and thinking, gosh, this is so much easier than the Ada I've been stitching on, because I'd just come off stitching Teresa Wenslow's The Castle, and that has loads of quarter stitches, 3/4 stitches. I kept thinking, you know what, that dragon would have been so much easier on this fabric. So yes, so this, my first ever sampler, and that is when I got the real bug, and it's Catnip Tea by Jeanette. First time using silk, first time using, I think it's got some Caron impressions, it's got some Caron water lilies, first time doing any beading, first time doing speciality stitches, and it's fair to say I took to them like a duck to water. Nan's instructions were always fantastic for everything, so there we go. This normally lives on the wall behind me, sort of up there, so if I've no actual finishing to show you, I might start showing you close-ups of some of those stitches. I hope you enjoyed seeing that one. So, while I will say I've no fully finishing, I do have a finish, a small one. My small that I stitched this month. When I was at the Peakside retreat last year, I bought one of the bits of stash I bought was Chia, which is a paper and thread pattern that Needlework Press, in collaboration with Needlework Press. We all got very excited because it goes on one of these spools. And is a little perforated paper design that Vicky from Needlework Press designed. I think you could stitch it on linen or perforated paper. The perforated paper came with the kit, So I stitched it on that, and I stitched it using variegated DMC 115 from Stash, because while it's variegated, it's not too variegated. And when stitching this one, I used C.A. Wells' colour sequencing technique, which is she was very big on. When you've got multi-stranded variegated thread, you take two, you start in the middle, take one, so for each 6-stranded bit, I'd take 1 2-stranded thread that way, 1 2-stranded thread that way, and keep going, and then use the leftover, the final 2 strands to do the bit in the middle, and then sequenced it coming in. And I think I did a fairly reasonable job of mirroring the variegation. It's a little bit different in places because just logistics of where I started, but I'm pleased to have that finished and to actually stitch something that I bought fairly recently for a change. So that'll go on the finishing pile and hopefully will be finished onto its spool by Christmas. So then it's all been whips, and some fairly chunky whips really. So when I last filmed, I had just started a rotation round of Hannah coats from Hands Across the Sea samplers. It's one of the early Hands Across the Sea sampler charts, and mine's seen a fair bit of abuse. I'm gonna have to get some tape out and do a running repair, I think. So yes, I've just started working on Hannah, and I was very pleased with the progress I got on Hannah. I'm going to move some stuff around so I can show you this and talk at the same time. So yes, so when I picked Hannah up, I was over here working on this gentleman. He's now got a head. I had his body in, but he was headless, so he now has a head. And then I've gone along, and as you can see, I have reached the far side, which I am really, really, really pleased about. I can see the end of this grass. I got some more of the creatures in. I think I was working on. Got three of the creatures in. Say got the dachshund in, and started work on the second of the big birds and the tree. So there's probably at least another one, if not 2, because there's a lot of stitching in this bird that I remember from last time I did it. Yeah, so there's probably at least another 1, if not 2 rotation rounds to get to the end of this section. But when I do that bottom section, which is the most intensely stitched part of the design, will be done. That is why I'm working from the bottom up rather than top down, which is more my usual way of working, but I did not want to leave all that stitching to the end. That way lies madness, and she'd probably not get finished. So that is Hannah Coates. I've still got quite a bit of fabric to cover, but like I say, the bulk of the stitching is in this bottom half. So really pleased to be seeing the end is in sight for that one. Right, Hannah is being stitched in DMC, all 4 DMCs on light mocha 40 count linen. I'm on to my second strand of the 730 DMC, which is the colour in the grass already. So yeah, that is Hannah Coates. We'll see if I get some more on her this year. But it's nice to have gotten a decent chunk of her done before she goes away again. Right, after working on Hannah, I got my Bees and Birds sewing roll out to work on. This is a Shawl with the Across the Bond Facebook group. I decided to join in because I already had this as a whip. I started this project in 2023. So I thought if I join in the Shawl, I'll get it finished. And I'm almost there. I finished all the parts up to May. So the sewing roll itself is now done. So for May, we just had to do the bottom band and finish off the border and then do both pieces of the fob. So I just have the biscornu to do, which you can see there on the back. I'm absolutely loving stitching this one. I did make one change. These little dots down here, Stacy said they were eyelets. I couldn't get them to work, so I just went for some other crosses instead. I think that looks okay. So yeah, absolutely loved stitching on this sewing roll. It's been so nice to get regular progress on it. I bought, when I originally bought this, it was an exclusive for the Homespun Needlework group. So so I've had it a while. Can't remember when that was. So it came kitted. So it's 36 count beige weeks by weeks. I think it's the old weeks base because it's not, we haven't got the Zweigart orange line, but I don't mind that. And the call for weeks dye. Pardon me. The call for weeks dye works thread. So I just have one last month to go, and this will get finished in June. Well, the stitching will get finished in June. Don't hold your breath on the actual finishing, of course. It'll go marinade on the to be finished pile for a while. After I had worked on Birds and Bees, I got out another project that's not been worked on for a while, and that is Black Magic by Just Nan. So another Just Nan. I have a large collection of Just Nan charts. It'd be nice to get a few of them stitched, a few more of them stitched. This is quite a densely stitched piece, and it has an awful lot of over one on it. So this is my progress to date. So when I picked it up, I was working on this square here, and I had some of the bordering. I discovered I'd gone wrong on the border and not spaced it properly. So all that frogging a Verus 103 over 1 is not fun, I will say. But I'm very pleased with how much I got back in. That bit of border is pretty much all complete. I've just got a few spaces where I forgot to put in the straight stitches, bar the beading. So I finished that one, these bands, and that on bar the beading, and I'm working on the end one as we speak. Quite pleased with the progress I made on this one. I'm stitching it on a piece of, I think it's either 28 or 32 count linen, probably either permanent or witcher from Stash, because that was what I used to be able to buy locally. It's very, very loose weave, but it was just the right size for this chart, and that meant it got used rather than just sitting in my stash taking up room. And the chart was gifted to me by a very good friend, and she also gifted me the silk pack. So the whole, so it's a mix of a Vera Soie, 103, and there is also a linen thread that's used. This textured piece in the middle. So yeah, very pleased with my progress on that one. I think when I finish this, it may well become a box top. I don't think I'll finish it. I think I might try and find a box it would fit on the top of. Really enjoyed working on that. I do enjoy working on a Justin. I particularly like her more traditional samplers. I'm not a fan of some of the smaller pieces she's done, but that's fine. I have 2 folders full of her large samplers that I've not stitched yet, so I'm not going to run out of anything anytime soon. And it'd be really good to get this one finished as well, and to have knocked out at least two of my oldest whips this year. Whether I get the third finished, because once I have finished with September Morning, my next focus piece will be CMB, which I think will take me the rest of the year, if not into 2027 to finish. So that's all my whips. But I do have a new start to share with you. Simone of Soid ID. She's got various stitch alongs going because this is her 15th year in business. She always does a summer one. The snippets I've seen of her summer stitch along, it's a sampler, it's got a red house on it, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Pieties, I think is how you say Van Weisel, I think is how you pronounce the name, but I'm sure I could be wrong. I did look it up, but so to keep us going before the sale launches, she pulled a few of the motifs on it and made it into a little pillow. So I'm working on the small. This is free. I don't have a picture of it because it's just the chart you get. But there is a picture of it on the Soid ID blog. I'll put a link in the show notes. I'm stitching mine using the Call for DMC. There is an over-dyed cotton conversion, which I might do for the actual sampler. I do quite like those colours. And there's only a couple of stitching sessions on that so far, but I'm quite enjoying it. I just thought the sampler spoke to me, so I'm going to jump in on the sale for that this year. It's on a piece of a neutral 40 count by Zweigart that I bought a metre of several years ago when Viking Loom had a sale, just because I thought it would be useful for samplers. I've got a few things, you'll see something in a few minutes that's also on this particular fabric. She didn't give it a color name. It just looks very neutral, so it's nice for these things. So yeah, so I might or I might not get this finished in this round. I need to finish this is mirrored. There's a berry bowl down here, another couple of flowers, there's a row of crowns at the top, and then there's a border. So it's a very sweet little pillow. So that is my start and my progress to date on that one. And stitching it in DMC and on fabric, when I can pull stuff out of my stash and not have to buy anything new, so much better. Which brings me on to plans for June. The sampler I'm going to work on in June is the drawn thread and open heart. I've had this on the go since 2020. And I'm not doing too badly on progress. It came out a couple of years ago, I think. And I got some progress on it. Here is where I am up to. So, as you can see, got this lovely bands down the middle. There's a white work band and then there's a black work band. I've not brought the borders down so far because the next bit I'm working on is a drawn thread band. So I need to draw my threads, reweave them, etc. before I bring the border down. So that will be the next bit I work on, and then I'll probably look at bringing the borders down to where I am. That is just past the halfway point. Yeah. So this row of text here is about the halfway point. So when I get cracking on a drawn thread, I do find they grow quite quickly. So hopefully, once I've got through all my faffing with the threads, it will, like I say, will grow quite quickly. Can't remember what the fabric is. I was sent the kit by a friend. The call for is 34 count cafe au lait. It might be that, or it might have been Elegant Bean, because this was bought from Elegant Stitch, and they did at one point dye their own fabric for things, and I was also gifted the silk pack that goes with it. So it's all using needlepoint ink silk and looks absolutely beautiful. Sorry about that, my bottom of my scroll rod hit the floor. Looking forward to working on that one. Then, of course, I'm going to finish Birds and Bees, get the biscornu stitched. Then after Birds and Bees, I'll be picking up Christmas Garden. This is the original booklet. I bought it at the time it came out, but it is now available in one of the Christmas designs books. I started this one in 2022, I think. Yep, 2022, because that was the year I was starting all the things. So this is being stitched on the same 40 count that I'm using on Peachy, the little pillow, the neutral 40 count, which I think works quite well for the sampler. I am using the called for Classic Colourworks and Gentle Arts. I only got 4 colours. They're quite subtle. And this is my progress when I last picked it up. Now I have worked out that when I pick it up this time round, I am going to need to start with some frogging, because this bit is in the wrong place. When I counted out from that to that berry is right, but that should be that berry. So I should have counted down and stitched another berry in, not counted up. So I will not have room, and I'm working on that big tree pot plant there, and I will not have room if I don't frog. So that will be coming out first, and then hopefully we will get that motif in and get it finished. That is what I'm hoping with this session on Christmas Garden. Looking forward to getting back to that. It's been a while since I've worked on the Blackbird, and I do enjoy them. So yes, come back at the end of June, beginning of July, and see how far I've got. And finally, as I'll be working on a small design, I was having to think about what I wanted to work on, and decided to pull a piece out that's been in my stash for forever, that was passed to me by a friend. It's this piece by Fildes Reeves, Sylvie. She used to be very active when it was bulletin boards, but I've not heard of her since. I think her design. Don't think I've not seen her designs around for a long time. Amitav, this one is. It's got an actual picture on the front. It's a cute little pin keep. I've got a couple of other three designs that the same friend passed on to me with the leftover silks. So I will match the silks to silks in my stash and just stitch that one. Should be quite cute to finish. So that's going to be my small for my next rotation round. So hopefully I'll get all that done in June, but we'll see. I do have a stitching weekend away with friends, so there's a chance it might get done. And then before I finish, there is only one piece of stash. I did say that I was ordering this one. This was and it's since come, simple gifts to new spool design from Jeanette Douglas. Came from Shepherd's Needle. It came with the spool. It's a bigger spool, taller spool than the last one, and all the materials needed to make the stitch the piece. So there's some overdyed threads, DMC, some 36 count Dolly Madison from Needle and Thread, and a finishing kit. And also came with a little extra of a spool shaped thread keep, which is nice. So we'll see when I get to that one. I am thinking that this summer, we're going on quite a long holiday this summer, because my kids my kids are going out before us. My sister lives in New Zealand. I know July and August isn't the greatest time to go down under. It's the middle of winter, but because I work in education and with the kids sitting exams, they finish school at the end of June. So they're flying out a couple of weeks before me and my husband, and they're going to go and stay with their aunt and be there for some of their cousins' winter holiday. My niece, it will be 6 by then. She's apparently incredibly excited at the thought of Rosalind and Chris going out to stay with her. So they're going to have to deal with that. And then we fly out a couple of weeks later when I finish work for the summer. I can't go beforehand. I've got way too much to do to wrap up the end of the academic year. So if anyone has any suggestions about where to, any stitching shops, book shops, knitting shops, quilt shops. My sister lives in the Wairarapa. She lives near Masterton. I know there's some in Masterton and Greytown because I've been Googling. But if anyone's got any specific suggestions, please let me know. We'll be spending a bit of time in Auckland. So again, there. And then we're going to spend a bit of time in Sydney on the way back because flying all that way. We've been out to New Zealand a couple of times, but we've never gone over to Australia. So we thought this time we'd go out and spend some time in Sydney. I have the cool Gobelin on my list. If there's anywhere else, again, knitting shops, quilt shops, stitching shops, book shops, please hit me up with your recommendations for Sydney, Auckland, and if you've got anywhere in the Wairarapa, that would be great. Thank you. Anyway, the reason I went into that is I've been thinking about what stitching I'm going to take with me. Usually when we do one of these long trips, I usually take a new start. And what I'm thinking is going to be my new start, the whip I'm going to take and just work on to see if I can get it finished while we're away, because we're away for a good 3 weeks, is Simple Gifts 1. And hopefully I can get that as good as done. I will be taking other projects. I am never knowingly under projected when I go away. Same with books, same with everything. I will certainly be. That's most of my luggage. Never mind clothes. Who needs clothes? I mean, the stitching, the knitting, and the books that matter. So yeah. So I will hopefully get Simple Gifts 1 done this year. And like I say, please hit me up with any recommendations. And that takes me on to my giveaway from last time. I was giving away the chart to Forget Me Not sampler by Brenda Gervais. This was a market exclusive from 2013 and has never been released by Brenda since then. I bought it as a kit, which was the only way it was available, back in 2013. So you all had to use the word forget me not in the comments. So I made a list of everyone who commented and used forget me not and put the number into random.org. It picked number 3, and comment number 3 with that used forget me not was Alison. Owen, it's Alison Owen 8543. Congratulations, Alison. I'll reply to your comment if you can. I'll put an email address in the description box, or drop me a message on Instagram with your post details and your address, and I will get this in the post to you. I hope you enjoy stitching it. I certainly did myself. Thank you. So, having finished all the stitching stuff, we'll move briefly on to knitting and books. So there's been a bit of knitting. I am making steady progress on my rock pulling shawl, not least because I would like this shawl ready to take on holiday. So it's winter in New Zealand, so a nice double knit shawl, I'm thinking, would be great. So this was one of the Shawl Society shawls. I think it's Shawl Society 4, maybe? Yeah, they were all around coastal theme that year. Can't remember exactly. I think it's 4. I've done one of the shawls from there, but this is the second one, that particular Shawl Society. I have a lot of Helen Stewart shawls. And I'm making good progress. When you last saw it, I had which was where this progress keeper is. I had just introduced the second colour, the B colour. So I've got a few more rows of the two colour work, the colour work in, and I think I've only got maybe three more rows of this particular, and then I bring in colour pattern repeats, and then I bring in the third colour. We finish with the first colour and we bring in the third, and then my third colour is this purpley grey. So the yarn I am using is by Irish Artisan Yarns and is a hand-dyed merino base. They don't do this anymore. I checked their website. I bought this at Yarndale, the last Yarndale I went to, which was probably 2019. I've not been since COVID. So there's three different colours. I've lost one of my ball bands. So one colour is Castle Rock, which I think is this neutrally colour. I think this was one of the kind, and I can't remember what the light grey was, but yeah, I'm really loving knitting with this yarn. It's a shame it's not around anymore, but like, these things happened over COVID and yarn bases disappeared and became difficult to get hold of. So I'm hoping, I'm just over 30% through this shawl now. I'm hoping if I can get a couple of rows done every day, it will be done by the time I'm ready to go to New Zealand. And the other project I'm working on is a pair of plain vanilla socks. Can't remember if I just need to graft the toe on the second sock, which I might get around to doing, the first sock, which I might get around to doing today, and then that will be finished. I can't remember where I was the last time, but certainly this month I cast on and I've done a few rounds of the cuff for sock 2, but I do have a training day coming up at work, so there will be more work on that sock, and that will definitely come to New Zealand with me if it's not already finished, because I tend to knit sock knitting is really good for the plain. I don't have the room to stitch on a plain, so I tend to knit socks and watch movies and read. So yeah, so that's where I'm up to with my knitting. Like I say, no real quilting. I haven't really done any. I've been busy doing other stuff. I do have a new sewing acquisition though. Lise Taylor's new summer collection. If you don't follow Lise Taylor on Instagram, I do recommend her. She's an independent French fabric designer. She does fabric, yarn, knitting patterns. It's all around books this summer. So she's got a little book bag and a kit for a little book bag. So I succumbed to that kit. All came packaged beautifully in this nice little project bag. It's all the little bits she does alongside it. So I've got everything I need. Beautiful woven label. And her own printed fabric, which has got books on it. The lining fabric to make the pouch. And came with the stabilizer. She also does pin badges, so I got a little matching pin badge as well. So that is going to be a project at some point. It may well be a project I take to a retreat with me. Right, so I'm just going to pause this and then I shall just quickly grab some books and quickly go through those. Right, I'm not going to go through everything I've read since I last talked about books on my Flosstube. I'm just going to go through what I've read this last month. I'm continuing to read Pilgrimage. I told you the last time I spoke about books that I'm reading, doing a 13-month read along on the Pilgrimage series by Dorothy Richardson. I've finished volume 1, which was the first 3 books, and I finished The Tunnel last month, which was the first book in volume 2. There's only 2 books in volume 2, so I've got interim to read next. The Tunnel, Miriam's moved away from teaching. Her father is bankrupt, her mother has died. Miriam's living in a boarding house in central London, in Bloomsbury, very much mirroring Dorothy Richardson's own life, and she's working in a dental surgery on Harley Street. Goes into quite a lot of detail about what's involved in being in working in the dental surgery. She's an assistant, she does the books and manages the appointments for the dental surgeons. Yeah, so it's been quite interesting so far. Let's hope it can keep going. So I shall read the next book interim when I have finished the one I'm currently reading. So then there's this little book from Jun'inchro Tanizaki, who was a Japanese novelist in the early 20th century. It's a little essay he wrote called In Praise of Shadows, talking about the Japanese aesthetic, in which he says, were it not for shadows, there would be no beauty. I'm kind of arguing against the modernity of electric lights and things that were coming in at the time, and was an interesting read to get an idea of what of the Japan of the 1920s and 30s was. I think it was. Let's see when this was originally written. Doesn't give me a date for when this was. Oh, it was first published in 1933. So that was an interesting read. Then I pulled off a book that's been on my to read pile for a long time, Amitav, Ghosh, The Hungry Tide. This is set in the Sudarbans, which is an area of Bengal, near to the border of Bangladesh. And deals with environmental issues and the lives of the people living out there, and was a very interesting read. Then I've been saving this one for my holiday because I know that when I pick up one of these books, I don't want to put them back down again. Lucinda Riley's third book in the Seven Sisters series. I read 1 and 2. I only read 1 last year on holiday. I read 2 earlier this year. So, like I say, I have to keep them for a holiday. I'll probably get number 4 out of the library and take that with me to New Zealand. That's going to be a good plane read. Keep me going. Thoroughly enjoying this series. If you like dual strand romances, the basic premise is this eccentric billionaire has adopted 6 girls, and he's died suddenly. They're trying to, with leaving them clues about their backgrounds, their families. So you get the current day story plus the historical story, and it's working out how they all blend together. So very, very much enjoying that series so far. And then my current read is a Persephone book It's a non-fiction one. It's called The Country Housewife's Book. It's one that Persephone printed more out of historical interest, and it's not so much a book. It's just dipping in and out about talking about preserving and how people used to food from your garden and such like. So there's a section coming up called the sportsman's bag, because she kind of assumes you've got a husband that's going out and catching game, pheasants and rabbit and such like, which I don't have. So, but it's an interesting period piece. I'm quite enjoying that, and it's, as I've got a collection of Persephone's, gives a bit of a background to some of the other books that I've read from that series. Anyway, I think that's me. I think I'm done. It took me a longer episode than I thought it might be, but hey, given it's only been 3 weeks, but like I say, get more stitching in when I'm on holiday. So I hope thank you for sticking with me so long. If you're a new viewer, thank you very much for watching. I hope you'll like and subscribe, leave me comments, please. I do like them. Thank you to everyone who commented on my last video. If you're an existing viewer, thank you so much for coming back and hanging with me. And I shall hope to be with you till end of June, beginning of July, for my next episode. If you're in the UK, I hope you're enjoying this hot, lovely weather. I'm very glad I'm not working at the moment with the temperatures we've had. The building I work in is a 1960s off building, concrete building, absolutely brassic in winter and like an oven if the temperature gets over about 21, 22 degrees. So I was very grateful not to be in work this last week with the temperatures we've had. It was horrendous. Last year we had temperatures over 40 degrees in some of our classrooms, because there's no air conditioning, and one side of the building just gets the sun and just heats up like an oven, and there's not a lot they can do short of raising the building to the ground, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. So yeah, enjoy June. Hope you have a lovely time, and I will speak to you at the end of the month. Bye.